I need it all. Do you want it though? Where do I begin? I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. Been through the struggle, I can see another drought. Yeah, it's not a purse, it's a merch. 6 figures was a gold, now it's 9 or a hearse. Put it work. Used to pull up, not swerve. No time for the snakes, trying to put them in the dirt. That's word. I gotta get it, it's in my DNA. You only see the highlights, don't know what it takes. Last year stressing, got no sleep. Now I'm right between the courts, I done nosebleed. Yeah, I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. And through the struggle, I can see another drought. Yeah, same circle, still the same gang. We just get to it, we don't gangbang. Lost some friends, to the same thing. Keep a low pro when we maintain. Find us in.
Hey guys, welcome to Saturday night. You already know what's about to happen. It's the Finance Squad. I'm gonna say to you, if you're not watching tonight, you're not trying to get your money right. That's all I gotta say. We're talking about debt and who doesn't have debt. So let me bring in the Finance Squad because you know we're gonna use up every second of tonight. If you just started watching, you better start sharing because there's no reason why you're the only one getting debt free over here. All right, guys, let's bring it in. We got Forrest Santana and we got Mordecai. Guys,
hello.
What is going on?
Saturday Night Live. That's what's going on.
I feel like this is our own version of Saturday Night Live, right? Before Saturday Night Live starts, it's like, get your money right. Guys, I'm going to tell you the feedback has been so awesome about you guys that everybody just wants more of you and everybody wants to know, like, how can I really get connected with these guys? So I'm going to tell you guys for the last time, if you DM me, I will forward your information over. But if you're following me on Facebook, you know how to get to them. That's all I got to say. And if you go to the YouTube channel, you know that they're on, their information's there. You can always search for them. But these guys, all three have their own businesses. So that's the way you get to them, so you can sit down one-on-one and talk about your finances. But tonight, we're going to keep it real. We're trying to get that debt, okay? Right. Because Christine got debt. I'm very transparent. I don't even want to pretend like I don't have debt. I think I still might have some student loans on the books, but that's because I got 4 degrees. So, you know, you can have student loans and be 80. I just want to be clear. You can still have them. Don't play. Because until Mr. Right come along, I got to pay all this stuff off on my own. But even me, so when I'm asking these questions, guys, I want to be clear. I'm even asking for me too, right? And not just for the viewers. So before we get started, though, about talking about debt resolution, I need to find out, Mordecai, what have you been up to this week?
Hey, we've had an amazing week speaking in the community. We've had dealing with legislators. You know, we got this Michigan trifecta that's happening right now, passing all kinds of legislation, and just been working with a lot of great clients and really helping people get on the right side of their life. And so it's really about not what we've been through, but it's about who we are becoming. And so that's what's most important. And so that's why this conversation is important every Saturday night. And really, you know, I turned 50 in January, so I'm really trying to reprioritize and spend more time with the fam, the wife, the kids, you know, and so that's important to me. So that's where a lot of my time is going right now.
Oh, I love that. I think, you know, we talked about this on Real Talk with the Men, but I think it's so important as Black men. I'm so grateful. And by the way, these are my parents who's always with me. They're not with me, but they're with me. Yeah. My dad spent a lot of time with me growing up, and I'm very appreciative. And I think, you know, all my friends say to me, Christine, you have great work ethic. Yep. I was like, well, my parents got up every day and went to work. They didn't miss a day. So that's good to know. And also my dad gave me plenty of attention and he allowed me to be Christine and all my crazy science stuff. So I appreciate all that stuff. Santana, I don't even want to talk to you. It's Florida. So obviously, I mean, I was shoveling snow, right, Sean, like 2 days ago.
Exactly.
Whatever.
That's right.
I think it did make it down south today, but it's been hot.
Snow made it down south?
No, not the snow, but
no.
the temperature.
The temperature drop?
Yeah, today. But it's been warm the vast majority of the week. So it's just been, we're planning for my 50th birthday and my 20 years in business. We have had the entire staff hands on deck getting ready for next week. So and tax season is upon us, and we're approaching the March 15th deadline. So it's been a very demanding week, but it comes with the territory.
You know what? I want to say happy birthday to you in advance, and also congratulations as a Black man with something you started from the dirt.
From the dirt.
Yes.
From the dirt.
From the
And
dirt.
you've been here for 20 years, extremely successful. I can't tell you how proud I am of you. So much so, folks, we won't be on next Saturday because we're going to be showing a replay because all of us should be there with him. I'm not going to call out anybody, Santana, for you.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No, don't call out anybody. We good.
I'm not going to call out
I
nobody.
already told y'all, if we're carpooling, I'm in.
Man, I'm not riding to Florida with Forrest in the car 1,000 miles. We're not doing that, bro.
Right, exactly. All three of us driving from Michigan with Forrest.
Not happening,
That,
partner.
oh my God. All I got to say is that would be an interesting conversation. So, Forrest, what's been going on with you this week?
It's been busy. Work's been busy, but it's that time of the year. I shouldn't say work has been busy. Work has been a blessing. Busy is good in my industry. It's that time of the year. But the most exciting thing for me is my passport finally came in the mail. In fact, today. And I'm Mr. International now. Look out.
Oh, he got his
Look out.
He got his passport. Now he Mr. International.
Man, listen. I got my passport about 7-8 days before my 25th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations!
Thank you. We're gonna try and do some things.
Yeah, I mean, Teresa really needs the round of applause. You know what I'm saying? That's who need to get on the podcast. I don't want to talk to bring Teresa and get Tiffany on the line. That's what
oh my God, that's what we need to do. Well, Mordecai, what about your wife?
That's right. That's right. Right.
Don't we need to talk to her?
She'll be glad to talk. She would look. She got all the goods on her brother.
Hey, I'm telling you right now, my wife come on, I'm losing the connection. I'm just saying. Internet is bad here in Michigan with the weather and everything.
Oh man,
it's a bad connection. There's no way we can talk to her, huh? Well, I'm going to tell you guys, we're going to go to quick commercial break. I'm really excited about tonight. I think what you guys are doing, uniquely focused on the African American community and making sure we have a good roadmap to getting our finances together. Folks, everything you watch tonight, understand that this is just our perspective. This is them not giving any direct information about anybody with the same type of salary, the same type of framework. So I just want to be clear. This is Christine coming up with examples and things, and they're just going to respond to those. So, but if you do fall within this framework, it gives you a good roadmap of what direction you need to go into. Okay, so folks, we'll be right back after this quick commercial break, and I'm really eager to get started. We'll be right back.
My name is Christine Burkett, the inventor of the 5 F's to Love. This is a compatibility app. It's an app that gives you an opportunity to rate words that start with the letter F in chronological order of importance to you, to help you find your one true love, your soulmate, and the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So after you've taken the time to rate your F's in chronological order, you send a link to the person, you just met, or the person you've been dating for quite some time. Or maybe it's the person you've been married to for 30 to 40 to 50 years. And then you compare your top 5 F's to find out what things you have in common and things that you may perhaps need to work on. This is taking a simplistic perspective on how to find your one true love, your soulmate, the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And thank you for downloading the 5 F's app.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Finance Squad. Now, before we get started, I just want to be perfectly clear. Tonight's presentation is probably going to have some layouts and a couple letters only because I created in a different platform and it didn't carry over well. But what we upload to YouTube for you guys to follow will be pristine. So I apologize. It's a technical difficulty on my end. I'm using a different system. All right, guys, but needless to say, it's in English. And whatever letters are missing, we're going to spell it out. So I'm eager to get started because we got a lot to cover tonight. It's like our little roadmap to debt resolution. So folks, if you're looking at this for the first time, we're going to kind of go over in this first segment. If you missed it, which is really perhaps what could have happened, we're going to kind of go over what you guys should have gotten in the first segment. Okay. So real quickly, you know, guys, we talked about a lot in the first segment, and really, I don't know if a lot of people got a real good understanding what's needed in order to get this started. So I know we left off and we told them that they had to have what? What did you tell me they needed?
Yeah, we told them that they need a budget. Like everything starts with the budget. The budget is the foundation of the conversation. The budget is the foundation of you achieving your financial goals. It's the assessment. We talked about that, right? The budget is the assessment. It's not a bad thing. It's just a point of accountability. And it helps us to be able to lay out some specific strategies in order to help people overcome, you know, some of the challenges that they're having. So got to have the budget. And that was one of our challenges, Christine, is that everyone would do.
It was. Right? So folks, listen, nobody's picking on you. We just really need you to understand the importance of you guys focusing in on this budget, because everything that we talk about as it relates to debt is really focused on this budget going in the right direction, right? So guys, before we get into the slides, can you kind of walk them through the simple and then the detail? Because the suggestion was for everybody to just use the simple budget sheet, of which, by the way, guys, if you're looking at us on YouTube or you're looking at us on Facebook or LinkedIn, there's a link that says simple and the other one says detail. Those are the budget sheets that they're referencing. You just need to click that link and open those up. So if you can kind of go into more detail on that for me, Mordecai.
Yeah, so we started off with the 10-20-70 budget, 10-20-70, and we had a conversation about how you take your gross income and how you break that out, like what you make, right? Your gross income, right? And how you break that out to begin to lay out your budget to see if your budget is in alignment or where you're out of alignment. And so Forrest had a great, scenario when we talked about the 10, the 20, and the 70. So, bro, when we got into this, we started talking about what's that 10%, so that everybody knows what's that 10%. What are we talking about when we say 10, 20, 70? Forrest, what's that 10%?
That 10% would be a tithe. If you're going to use the 10, 20, 70, that 10% is going to be a tithe.
So that's tithe. You talking about like TITHE, right?
Correct. Tithe. Okay. Correct.
Right. So that's giving, right? Or so would you say that's giving or saving, or what would you say?
For me, that's a tithe, but I would call that giving.
Giving. Got it.
Yes.
Got it. So what's the 20? So you're saying 10% of my gross, I should be prepared to give it away, right?
Correct.
So for you,
absolutely,
you give it away. What's in the 20?
The 20% is that 20% is savings. And again, for me specifically, that's broken down into two categories. 15% is saving for me and my family. The 5% of that 20% is another part of my giving. So I'm going to take you back to the 10%. For me personally, for my household, that's a tithe. That's a tenth of our income. That's a tithe. That 5% that's coming out of the 20, that's what we're giving over and above the tithe.
Got it. So we're talking 15% is in your mindset, 15% is giving, basically.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And so to walk me one more time, I got the 10 giving, and then I've got 20 that's saving. Santana, what's the 70?
The 70, we're dealing with household expenses, mortgage, rent. So, and then we're dealing with taxes that everybody has to face. So if you had $100,000, we're saying maybe 10 to 12% of that will go to taxes. And then we use a number of 28% going towards mortgage and or rent. And then the remainder going towards debt, car loans, credit cards. We typically try to say that gross amount between your rent or mortgage,
Mhm.
your other bills should be around 36% of that 100. So $36,000. Now, if you ever went to get a mortgage, they say they don't want your expenses to be greater than 40%. So we're saying to keep your little grace area, we're saying 36%.
Okay, so guys, before we go that deep in, I want everybody to take note of what he just said. But I also want you guys to take note of a very important roadmap, which is the goal. The goal of the whole finance squad is to kind of take you guys through each of these. So Mordecai, can you go through the challenge that you're making every week to everybody about how to realign their finances?
Yeah, I think when it comes to finances and just the principles, the financial principles, we all are going through a class, so to speak. We're all pupils. We're all students. We're learning. We're constantly learning. So education is important, and a lot of people do not want to educate. They say education happens when new information is relayed to one or more of the senses. Right. That's when you become educated. Right. And then we want to inspire people because everyone's situation is different. We've had a rough COVID. We've come out of COVID. Many people are already struggling. And so there are some inspirational aspects to this podcast and then motivate. But what are the practical? That's where the rubber meets the road, right? That's where people oftentimes get like, oh, they're talking about me. No, this is the practical application. We're not just going to talk pie in the sky. The application. Right. But then there's this part of the impartation where we're sharing personal stories about how we have been challenged and some of the things that we've experienced in order to be even on this platform to even, be blessed to share our experience. So there's some impartation, right? And that happens when we are honest and transparent and become vulnerable in this area that in our culture is taboo to actually talk about and be straight up for real. You know what I'm saying?
It is. And that's the thing that I think is so important that we understand, because a lot of times people don't get that life does happen, right? So when you look at this, guys, this is something that if you're just joining us today, kind of walk them through this, Mordecai, because this is life happening. This is the process of life happening in real time. So you guys need to pay attention. And so walk them through each of these levels.
Yeah. So at the base level, what we talked about was establishing a budget, right? Establishing a budget. All we want them to focus on is that one word at the base level. We'll deal with the other stuff. But if you don't have a budget, we can't make an assessment. We can't develop strategies, right? And then you move up to level 2, which is debt resolution, right? How are you resolving the debt, whether it's credit card debt, other high interest loans, et cetera, right? How are you getting rid of that so you can free yourself up to live like you want to live, right? And then saving for retirement, also, and then how do you protect your income? We're going to talk about in a few minutes. You've got a married couple, but one income. What happens if that one person gets injured and they cannot bring, they can't work, right? You know what I'm saying? Who's going to pay the bills? How do you protect that income? And there's all kinds of different discussions about that. When do you want to retire, right? So saving for retirement. And then what about your children? Do you want your children to have options on what school they go to, right? So saving for education, and then really digging deep on the back end on wills and trusts and those kinds of things when we start talking about, passing on wealth and protecting the things. Because once you establish the budget, you're going to start building, and you're going to want to pass that on to your children, to the next generation. So we have to have that conversation. But everything starts at that base level with a budget. And it tells the truth about what has happened, but it does not say what is going to happen.
Because you can shift that, folks. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight, is that you do have the opportunity to change and shift this conversation, because that's what a lot of us don't get. Like, you can change the outcome of what's happening in your household. So when you look at overall what those numbers are looking like, guys, this is a real conversation. And I'm going to go back to the house. But a lot of times people think they can't change. Like, I'm screwed up and there's no coming back from this. What do you guys say to somebody who thinks that there's no coming back from this? Like, I'm done. I've messed this up. What do you say to them? Can they do a restart for real?
Yes,
So
yes,
Absolutely.
You just have to start. I think a lot of times, we look at the obstacle and we say it's too big and we never try to attack it. And it's just day by day, changing your behavior, changing your
Right.
mindset. I mean, if you save $5 and you never saved $5 before, that's a start. So you got to start somewhere, and then it'll become easier as time goes on. But the hardest thing, we even know from a dieter, the hardest thing is to start.
It's the start.
And you just got to start. Just got to start applying the principles, applying what you've been taught, and then it'll get easier over time.
And
All right,
I've been saying from the beginning. I adopted this phrase a long time ago, or the saying, and it is, if it is to be, it's up to me. I believe vernacular is very important.
Mhm.
You will be what you tell yourself you're going to be. Period.
Yeah, I agree with that. And every day is a struggle just for me to live up to my own expectations. I always tell people I'm not in a race to beat anybody else. I'm in a race to beat me. Yesterday's Christine, I'm trying to beat her in the future Christine that I mapped out, because all these degrees on this wall says I'm supposed to be doing something, right?
Yeah.
So, folks, we talked about this financial house, and I just want to say to you, I blew this up. And it's actually, believe it or not, it's in my office because I try to make sure I stay true to this. So Mordecai, kind of walk us through these bullets very quickly.
Yeah. So the budget, even we highlighted that in yellow. The budget is important. We keep talking about that. And in that budget, there's a strategy for how you save and for emergencies. So we talked about saving for emergencies and how much of your income needs to be saved in order to protect you in case you want to make a life change or a career change, right? How do you protect your income? And that is a multi-layered conversation, right? Because all income is not the same income, right?
Right.
But the real thing in America is this debt, doing everything before time, right? That's what we said debt is doing everything before time. And how do we resolve that? That's the yoke around our necks.
Right.
Right.
And that's what we're here to talk about tonight, everybody.
That's the lack of ownership, right? You don't own anything, right? Someone else owns it and you're paying small by small, as my African brothers say, bit by bit, right? So how do we resolve that? And then saving for retirement is important because tomorrow will come, right? For somebody, they say, oh, tomorrow's not promised. That's a lie. Tomorrow will come. And so the budget helps you to plan for what type of tomorrow you want to realize. And so
sorry about that.
That's where we are. And obviously, like for me, I have 4 children and, saving for their education. Now, when I was in my 20s, I didn't have the mentality, right? I thought that, my kids would take 100 years to become 18, right? I didn't know it happens overnight,
2 minutes,
right? I didn't think that. So, you always think I got time.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you're at graduation.
Here we are.
And there's no plan. And that's very difficult to tell your children that you've been working every single month for the last 18 years and you did not save anything. That's a
major conversation. That's why we're here tonight, because we know things get in the way.
Yep.
So as you guys look at this, these are the things that he's already talked about, which is the income protection, debt resolution, and saving for your retirement. This is an example of the simple budget sheet. Mordecai has covered this in the budget sessions and also in the beginning of debt resolution. This is what it looks like. So please click the link. Mordecai I don't think he even wants to go through this again, but he will probably in a later segment, right? And this is the detailed one for people who are like me. I'm over detailed. I want to make sure all my line items, as I say, line up. But again, folks, these 2 links are there. And so now we're back to Santana. Santana's about that money, honey, because he does taxes. So Santana, we're ready. We're ready for you, because this is your saying, which is doing everything before time. This is
yes. It's a unique concept being in America, because it's almost like our total economic system is built on debt. So just the DNA of America is we've learned to do everything before time. And so unlike the federal government, who can continue to run debt up, as an individual, we have to at some point be responsible for the debt we have created.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So as we've talked in previous sessions, is you don't get into debt until you have a way to get out of debt.
Right.
And I think everyone, we jokingly said that we in church we celebrate buying a car, but we don't celebrate paying it off. So there has to be some clear, concrete strategies when you get into debt, and it has to align with your budget. So if you're going to get a car, and hopefully you've already fulfilled your emergency fund, and then you have additional money at the end of each month, then that money should go towards your debt.
Yes.
But that's discipline, because most likely you want the nice car, then you want the nice purse, then you want the nice shoes, and then you want so the debt the lifestyle gets expanded while the debt gets expanded also. When it should
stop talking about my pocketbooks.
It should be the lifestyle. If the lifestyle has been expanded, your emergency bucket has been checked off. In addition, you're starting to address your retirement goals, because Sean is unique. As we've been talking, I'm thinking about how when I first started my job, being from a impoverished community, for lack of better terms, when they said putting money into a 401k, I'm going to say this and it's going to shock the audience. I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be alive that long. Let's go with being alive. They say, look at your neighbor and say, be alive. I'm like, you want me to do what? You want me to put money away? Man, I don't know if I'm going to be here 30 years from now. But here's the reality. Now you get to 50, and now you're looking at those decisions. So those decisions for the people in our age group, if you were not taking advantage of putting the money away in the 401k plan, because very few people have pensions. I mean, that's a lost dinosaur now. So if you did not do it, now they do have a catch-up provision once you hit 50. But once again, it's going to come back to the budget, because most likely now, if you're at 50, you got children in college, or you've established such a high lifestyle, then now something is going to have to be done for retirement to be a reality. And some people retire voluntarily, and some people retire involuntarily. Your mind and your body are saying two different things.
Exactly.
Or the company is going in a different direction.
Or the company folds.
Yeah. So
the company can fold.
Yeah. So this budget has to become, whether you're young or old, if you're young and you have business aspirations and you want to do all these grand ideas, then what are you putting away if the business does not start off the way you envision? Because we do performance every day. I mean, people say, in the first year, I'm going to make this. In the second year, I'm going to make this.
Mm-hmm.
That very seldom happens. So if it does not happen that way, do you have the adequate capital to sustain your bills? So you need to be budgeting before you become an entrepreneur, unless you get a word from the Lord and he gives you a cash cow business and money just starts flowing in. If that's not the case, you better have some money. You better have saved and prepared for this moment. Well, you fast forward to the 50-year-old who's getting ready to retire, who's making all these grand. I'm going to be retired at 55. I'm going to be retired at 60. Mm-hmm. What does your budget say? Because if your budget, are you stashing money away? Are you maximizing your 401k? Are you putting money away in other investment accounts to be able to do? If you're not doing this, then you need to sit down and look at your budget and start making some real decisions. Because I'm here to say that you go from 30 to 50 fast. And I'm believing that you probably go from 50 to 60 even faster.
Oh, it's going to be even faster.
If you don't start, if today is not your day, that you get off after listening to this podcast and say, listen, I heard them. I might not wanted to hear them, but I heard it. Like you say, if the mountain looks too big, you better figure out how to turn it into a molehill today, or life is gonna run you over
Over.
when you're tired, when it's time to retire. We still today is the debate on where Social Security going to be in 10 to 15 years. So
And don't give them any more, Santana. You're going into
I'm gonna leave it alone.
Folks,
I
we'll
can
be
talk
right
about all
back.
this all day.
I know you can, folks. We'll be right back at this commercial
Okay.
break. When we get back, Forrest is going to go through just 5 things that you need to know before we start breaking down all of this debt that you need to resolute, everybody. Because, and I'm going to tell you right now, you know Forrest is going to give you the business. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
We know what you made of. I do better offline, yeah. I've been calling to a guy. I'm in tune with the signs. I'm just trying to let go. I'm just trying to be me. I'm just trying to do Moon landed with the elevation. Arm strong with the levitation. My third eye needed calibration. That was heat rock when I notated. I've been going crazy. Stone face when I kill beat. Leaving no trace on low.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest.
Broken future. All the plans you made in your heart grew just to die.
Hey guys, welcome back. It is Saturday night, and you already know it's the Finance Squad. So if you didn't get out your little notebook, you better do it. Okay, Forrest, everybody already knows you're going to give them the business. Folks, if you are just seeing Forrest for the first time, know this, he's about to give you the business. Forrest, give them your 5 things of why they're in debt right now.
All right, I'm gonna go through all 5, and then I'm gonna come back and touch on them. You got living outside of your means. That's most of us. Why? Because we operate outside of a budget.
Yeah.
Paying too much for cars. Now we put paying too much for cars up here because right now cars are super expensive. But this could very well also be paying too much for a house, paying too much for your clothing, paying too much for items that aren't going to give you the return that you're looking for. Credit card debt. It's usually how we pay too much for these things outside of a vehicle. Leisure spending. Yeah, adopting this attitude, I deserve something versus I earned it. And you earn it by saving money, setting money aside for it. And then no savings at all and no giving. I have listened to wealthy individuals, and I've read hundreds of autobiographies. And one of the main themes that individuals who have aspired to and reached places that I want to go from a financial perspective is they all talked about giving and how things really didn't turn around for them financially until they first started giving. I think giving is a very important part of what we do. That's why when you look at the 10, 20, and 70, the first thing you're doing is giving. That's first. Selfish individuals seldom accomplish much of nothing. They don't accomplish anything because it's all about them. Whatever they do achieve or accomplish is never enough. Never. It's always the next step, right? So those are the 5. Those are the 5 reasons why we find ourselves in this perpetual hole. My mind's eye kind of sees the hamster in the cage on this little wheel, running as fast as he can go, but getting absolutely nowhere.
And I think that's a lot of people, they think they're going somewhere. And that's why I love that you guys did the breakdown of the components, right? I'm going to tell you these components, I started organizing my stuff because I felt pressure, by the way, being on the show with you guys. I start organizing my receipts in this whole, I'm the kind of person, I just go too far with stuff. So you guys have gone through this, and I'm just going to go through it really quickly because I want to go through now the debt resolution, the housing thing, which was the mortgage, the family, the giving you guys have talked about, transportation, leisure, consumer debt, insurance premiums, savings, and taxes. This is no joke, folks. When I say it, I'm going to be honest with you. Being on this show is really helping me get my stuff together. And if you guys are watching this and you're not getting your stuff together, we're going to do this one more time for you, because I'm going to tell you, this is like business. You guys have really showed me that my life is just like my business. I got to start focusing more on it. So when they've already broke down the 10-20-70, which is vital, everybody. So please don't. And if you don't understand, here's the example, because now we're about to go into it. You got a family of 4. This is a beautiful family. And by the way, folks, the slides, the content may be a little off a little bit because I'm using a different system than the system it was created on. So the formatting is off. But when we upload it to YouTube, all the formatting will be straight. And I promise it will be straight. So this is a family of 4 with 2 cars, a mortgage, and a stay-at-home mom. Okay. This is based on what Santana shared with you guys in the previous sessions in budget. And this is what they just went over about giving, savings, and living. Basically, they're living off $75,000, right, Santana?
Correct.
Okay, so if you're living off $75,000, we're going to walk through this pretend budget because, listen, folks, we already know the debt is mounting on you, right? Because all of this drama. The first thing we want to talk about, folks, they already told you about it. Let's talk about it again. What about this car? What about this car?
Well, y'all hard on them cars. I mean,
you got 75,000.
It's a real question, because if you bought a car right now, you're probably going to be at 7 to 8% interest rate. So it's not only, unless you can get it at a great price, you're going to be overpaying for a car that maybe if the interest rates decline during the summer or late in the year, you can get for a lot, not cheaper, but a lesser payment. And if you're having problems savings, every dollar counts. So if you're overpaying $100 to $150 a month for a car payment because you did not want to wait, you wanted to do it before time.
Let me say this too, Santana. Let me throw this in there. Santana said 7-8% interest rate. Mm-hmm. I want the audience to understand that 6 to 8% is for individuals who fall in the excellent credit category.
Thank you.
Excellent. So we're talking 790 and higher.
Yes. If you like a 3, you can forget it. If you a 3, don't even look at a car.
So let me ask this question, because I'm always like trying to understand what we're actually saying, because where I got caught was I needed a car, right? Mm-hmm. I couldn't get the 35. I didn't get qualified. Like, you walk on the lot, they're like, nah, you can't get the Benz. You need to get this Escort over here, whatever it was at the time. I didn't qualify for that. Correct. But what I did qualify was a bad lemon at 12%. Oh. So it's not like if your business is not right, you're gonna still be able to walk in and be able to qualify. Most times you don't even get approved. You don't have the salary, right. that the income ratio is too high, and you can't make the choices. And so I think we got 2 different folks we got to really talk about. Is what I recognized was I needed transportation. Correct. I didn't need comfort. Correct. So I had to change.
Thanks, Mordecai. You're right.
I needed so this was something I didn't have it saved, and I got to get to work, man. I got to get to work. Y'all talking crazy. I got to get to work.
Mordecai, can I get a moped? Can I get a moped, man?
In Michigan, no.
but thinking about this, Mordecai. Mm-hmm. Right now, every January through maybe mid-April, car lots pop up. Yeah, they pop up because there's a thought process that people are now going to get a windfall of cash called income tax refund. Yep. So whether you go to the auction, whether you go to the car lot, now here's what I'll give you credit. A lot of times when you buy these cash cars, you could be flirting with getting the lemon.
That's right.
So what I would recommend to the audience is if you have cash, then find you a good mechanic to go along with you to that car lot so that you can take the cash you've gotten from that refund, buy your car, make sure it's inspected by a credible mechanic, and drive that till you can afford to the interest rates. Also, to the interest rates have gone down because at some point they have the old adage, whatever goes up must
come down.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you got to think about, I mean, in the terms of cars have gone through a very vicious cycle in the fact that because of COVID, production was down on new cars.
Yep.
So this is one of the first times I've seen in my lifetime where a used car was just as expensive as a new car.
Yeah.
So, when you overpay for a used car, when the market resettles and corrects itself, you're going to have a car with great negative equity, which means in what that means in layman terms, you overpaid for your asset and you're going to be sinking water. So you'll never be able to go sell it and get your money back. You probably have to keep it till you take it to the junkyard, because at that point, you're not going to be able to pass the negative equity to another consumer. So you're going to be stuck with it. So buying right now is tough, used or new. But it would be better to get your cash car at a decent price, because when you go to a car lot with cash moves everything around us.
Oh, so, for sure.
When you have cash, you have more bargaining power than someone that's talking about doing financing. So
all of this is nice. All this is nice. The first thing you need to do is sit down and have a courageous conversation with yourself. I need transportation. I ain't talking about what I like, what I don't like, this name brand vehicle, I need to get to work. I need to get my kids to school. I need transportation. I live in a city, Lansing, Michigan. They have public transportation. And now that's not ideal, but that is transportation. And it will take you to the four corners of my city and stops in between. You can Uber. You can Lyft. You can call a good friend and ask for a ride.
You can do ride share.
That's right. What you need is transportation. Now, once we start talking about transportation, what Santana has said and what Mordecai has said comes into play. But the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what do I need? I need transportation. Right. I'm not interested in what you want. I'm talking about what you need. What I need is transportation. And again, I go back to my own household. We had 3 vehicles. We got rid of them. And my wife and I got real comfortable with one another for a long period of time. And I liked it after a while. I mean, I liked it in the beginning. It just kind of threw things off. My freedom of being able to come and go like I wanted to come and go. Couldn't really do that anymore. I had to take into account her, myself, and our youngest son. We all had events and things that we had to do, and there was one vehicle. So I went to recitals when I really didn't want to be there.
Man, you crazy, man.
But in the end, I came out smelling like a rose. I was a good dad, a good husband. If you could have read my mind, you wouldn't have probably been saying those things. But
he was like, Forrest was like, and the thing is, you're right, it does make a difference. So when you guys talk about cars, now we're talking about one of the major things is people purchasing a home.
But
right
see,
now
it's the same thing, though.
Exactly.
We get caught up emotionally in these purchases, and we want to be in a certain neighborhood. We want to be behind the gate. We want to feel a certain kind of way. And what we've been trying to communicate is your budget really tells you what you can afford.
And listen, on the purchasing of a home, this is real talk. So my wife and I, the year before COVID, all through COVID, the conversations have ceased to exist for right now. But we're going to build a home, so much so that we went out and bought multiple pieces of property to build this house on. This wasn't about financing, done. This wasn't about, we had everything from the architectural drawings, where we were going to build it, but it was all set. When the rubber met the road, what we were wanting to build when this process started versus what it was going to cost when we got to the shovels in the ground. The prices on everything had gone up. This build was going to cost us well over $1 million, and I wasn't building $1 million home.
Come on.
So my wife and I sat down, and our current home, it got to looking real nice.
Exactly.
We did some work in the bathroom. We fixed a few things in our existing house, and I like it more and more. Every day I pull up to it, I like it more and more.
Absolutely.
Again, that goes back to this courageous conversation.
Right.
And I kind of asked my wife one day, I said, so why are we really building? It's not about need. Why are we really doing this? And she's like, babe, I really got to think about that. Well, there were other things attached to it. For me also, I'm not throwing my wife under the bus. It was going to look good.
Exactly.
I'm changing my address.
I'm changing my address.
What? Come on.
I'm changing my address.
Hey, come on now. We're Forrest. I don't know. He gone.
But Forrest, but you're not saying anything that's not uncommon for anybody.
No.
The house I'm in now is paid for. So in my mind, it's like, why would you? Well, right now I'm not moving because I listen to y'all and the interest rates is high. That's the thing. I said, well, my plan was to move this summer, but then I said, you know what? If I don't move until next year, I'm good. This house is paid for. So I said, okay, well, the renovations are done. Let's see what other things that we can do. So I'd rather put the money into the house that I own and pay for the renovations out of my savings. I'm not going to go get a loan. I'm not taking out anything on the house to get anything done. But the thing is, folks, you got to start looking at, because we were talking about that before. It's not just the mortgage, it's the renovation cost.
Yeah, that's right.
So now, that interest rate is what it is. And now you done pulled in, okay, now I'm going to stay where I'm at. Don't overdo it, Lucy.
Correct.
Make it nice, but do it within means, because Santana about to get on it.
Part of the conversation my wife and I had on building, Santana talked about last week, an exit strategy. As the price went up, that changed our exit strategy.
Yes.
And the stress for me under the new exit strategy was no longer a good exit strategy. So we decided to stay where we were at.
I'll give two examples. In 2008, I purchased a place in Sanford, and the bubble was in 2008. So it literally took me into the beginning of COVID to break even on selling it versus what I paid for it. That is going through renting it out, repairs, and all that. So it took me 12 years to get back to where I started. And so at some point, it's like with the cryptocurrency, at some point when you do things too late, somebody gets caught holding the bag.
Correct.
Yeah.
And in our culture, it's this statement, when everybody's doing it, it's too late.
Too late.
It's too late. So with housing right now, if you buy a house now, you're going to get caught holding the bag eventually, because if that house declines in value, $300,000, I know, like in Jacksonville, in some houses pre-COVID, say it was worth $700,000, it's now worth $1 million. Well, at some point, it's got to settle back down. It may not go all the way back to the 7, but let's say it goes back to the 850. You're stuck there, because one of the things that's an extra strategy in other cultures is when we pay the house off and the kids are out of the house. Then we sell the house and we take the money and put it in our retirement account and pay cash for the house we're in. That way, we don't have a mortgage and we got additional capital for whatever may come up. So for most people, a home is a part of their retirement plan. So properly purchasing the home may determine how much money you got down the road, because if you got negative equity opposed to equity, then your retirement strategy may be shot, because you don't want to get to, if you're 50, you don't want to get to 65 and you got to bring some money to the table to get out of the house.
But I think, Santana, this is an important conversation, because one of the things I've learned from you and Forrest is you got to ask for help, right? Like, I'm getting ready to buy a home. I reach out to one of y'all, man. What does the market look like? What am I getting myself into? Right? Like, we're not saying you can't have what you want, because I hate for somebody who has to tell me I shouldn't get. Well, you already got it. You know what I mean? It's good. It's easy for you to sit and say I shouldn't do when you already riding in a Benz. Like, be quiet, right? But I think it's important for us to say this information is out there, but we have to open our mouth and we have to ask for help. We got to seek help. We need advisors, because we don't all see all the numbers and everything. I've had conversations with Forrest. I had a house, and Forrest said, look, we looked at the market. The market was scheduled to not come back in 20 years based upon the economic outlook of that city. So am I going to hold on to this? What am I going to do with this bag? Am I going to hold it on? Can I extract anything from it? And it was a very hard conversation, and it took us 6 months for reality to set in on what decision we needed to make as it relates to this perceived asset that we owned, right? And so I think it's important for us to as a community to talk about these things. I mean, because really in Detroit, we got folks that can't even have water. Their water is shut off. You get what I'm saying? So we got real issues, and I know we got to take a commercial break, but we all have to share this information and make this available so that people don't have to get in debt to get the information.
Right.
Because when you're acquiring a home, there's some things that they teach in real estate school. Like, okay, when you buy a home, you need to study the neighborhood. Yep. You need to study what's the long-term plans for that the city has in that neighborhood.
What I'm talking about, man? Ain't nobody told me that.
What is the school system in that? Because really, what drives the value a lot of times in the neighborhood is the quality. Is the schools. Yeah. Because if there are good schools, then affluent people are gonna migrate to that county, because that allows them to save by not putting their children in private school. So these are the things, but we're just so caught up in the house, and we don't see the trappings around acquisition. And so you're not just buying a house, you're buying the neighborhood and the surrounding and the plans.
You're buying a community.
You're buying and so you have to study everything. And this is, if you go to City Hall and ask them, well, where are y'all going to build them? Are y'all building a mall in that area? Mm-hmm. When are y'all going to build a new school in that area? What's the expected growth in that area? Mm-hmm. Because all that determines the value of the home you acquire.
That's right.
So emotion can get in the way of you making bad acquisitions. Now, I did want to say to you, Mordecai, that rich people make bad acquisitions.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Wealthy people make good acquisitions.
Mm-hmm. I like that, what you just said.
The people that have money sometimes do emotional acquisitions. I mean, rappers, etc. Mm-hmm. And then they look smart, but really their money was able to mask the mistake.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But if they make enough of mistakes, they'll be poor again. So for a while, rich people look like they're so smart when they're making a lot of bad decisions. It's just they have enough money to mask the bad decisions.
Their mistakes.
Yeah. But it hasn't caught up with them yet.
It hasn't caught up.
But it does.
So
it
does
at some
how
point.
Is that possible?
So
how's that possible, right? I know this is, a rhetorical question, but again, I think it goes back to everything we're talking about, following the Joneses, not getting the information. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so we have to put our community in a position where we can make wise decisions, and with that information, because I think, like, we have a statement, I don't know if it's true, you know better, you do better, right? And sometimes we just don't know that I can negotiate for that car. We just don't know that I could take Forrest with me as I'm looking for that house. And so it's a different conversation. It's a different way,
but
right?
I think the overarching conversation beyond that is, if the interest rates are high, don't do anything. It's not worth it.
Right.
Okay. Exactly. Or if
interest rates are high, you do nothing.
But if Santana is at the bank, he the bank manager.
No, it don't make a difference. The interest rates is high. Santana can't negotiate.
So here's what I have found: everything that we're saying is negotiable. That's what they say to you.
Well,
but everybody not paying the same interest rate. Everybody not.
Think about how deep this is. When you go acquire a home, If the bank does not think the home is worth that, you
They're
will
not gonna
not
give it
be
to
getting
you.
the bank money.
And this is
Exactly.
what I'm saying. In your example, what you just said with rich people and wealthy people, there are different avenues to make these acquisitions. Some people don't even go to the bank.
You're
They're not
right.
even using the bank. So the point I'm making is that people have other options that aren't available, but we sitting on here and we know some of these other options. So I'm just saying, like,
But Mordecai, the average person, they don't have access
Yeah.
to those options.
I know they
So
don't,
we
but
don't.
what I'm trying to put out is that there are
Yeah.
other options for people, but it all starts, as we've been saying, with the assessment, the budget. If you know what
Oh
you got
yeah.
to spend and you know what you got, and you
Right.
got good advising, then you can make a really, really wise decision and get the thing you want with the exit strategy. So all I'm saying is that
Mhm.
there are some people listening to us, they need a house, and they're going to buy a house right now, and they're going to pay too much for it because they need a house.
No,
And that's just the
You
reality of
don't
it.
need a house. You want a house.
They need
You
I'm
can
shelter.
go.
saying
No, you can go. You can go live with your mama. You
they're
can
not
go
going
live
to do
with
that.
your
That's
cousin.
I'm just being
You
real
can go
about it.
get. You gonna go get an apartment, but it's bigger than that.
They're not going to
And
do
that's
that.
the thing. And so I don't want us to get stuck on the house because before
We're
we go
not.
on 4 minutes, I do want to cover the other things. So credit card is one thing, but one of the things that people don't talk about that is debt is having kids.
Uh-oh.
Is having kids. And I'm going to tell you right now, this can become a major debt. And you need to really understand you got to strategize. I mean, for me, I put my kid through private school, right? And that was a choice. But what I'm saying is when you got, number of kids, free education look good, but then that tutoring, that extra tutoring, then all them extracurricular activities, that money still adds up for the average homeowner. And then if you fall into a situation where your breadwinner gets sick, and you want to know how you get into debt where you feel like you're like underneath the water, this is it, on top of some of the things that we didn't cover tonight, which we will pick up, folks, on our next segment. But you talk about other potential debt. So when you think about that big picture, so now Mordecai, we're back to the house. We're back to that car. No, you can't get a BMW. No, you can't live in that gated community. Somebody better get some birth control. You better lay off those credit cards.
Planned
Right?
Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood. Okay, honey, listen, this is real talk. If you already got 4 kids, if you got health care, brother man, we might want to get that tightened up, get them ropes tightened up. You already
All
got
I'm
rope.
saying,
You don't need no more.
I
Right?
ain't saying
Tighten up the
nothing.
rope.
All I'm gonna say,
I'm
Christine,
gonna
is
keep it
family
real.
planning. Forrest and Santana are great at family planning, where you can have whatever you want, but it's about family planning. You want to have 4 children, then we sit down and have a nice conversation
We have a
about
conversation.
Oh,
Listen though,
it's definitely a conversation.
that. Yeah.
even with
We're
the
already there.
even with the family planning, okay, you still can't do everything. And here's what I mean.
Right.
And I'm always coming back to my household. So my wife and I had a conversation about taking our kids out of public school and putting them into a private Christian school. And that's what we did. From the time my youngest was in the 1st grade, maybe the 2nd grade, we paid tuition all the way through him graduating from college. And we paid cash for these things. Now, what did that do to us? That means we didn't move.
Nope.
That took the house
Yep.
off the table. That
Yep.
took brand new vehicles off the table.
the
I wanted my
table.
wife to have the experience of driving a brand new car, so we got her a brand new minivan. I even told him, don't drive the minivan to the dealership, flatbed it to the dealership. When it get here, if it's got more than 3 miles on it, I'm not buying it. It had 2 miles on it when it got there. I told her, I said, babe, I want you to enjoy this, and I want you to drive it till the wheels come off, because this is the last brand new vehicle we ever gonna have. And true to my word, that's the last one. Every car we buy is new. It's new to us.
Right.
It's brand new.
That's my rule. It's new to me.
Brand new. It's new to me. So again, we got to change the way we think and how we see
Right.
things. I would have liked to have. I had friends who bought a starter home, 2-3 years later bought the next home, and
Right.
we didn't do that.
Yeah.
We bought a home and we didn't leave that home for 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
We chose to spend our resources elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that was on educating our kids.
And that's what he's saying is true. And I think, Mordecai, what you're saying is right. Reality is what you're saying. That's true.
Yeah.
People want what they want, especially if you're looking at you three guys and this person is in your circle and all of y'all got BMWs. He wants one. Even though he's not at the same level, he wants one. And those are the things, folks, that we're trying to say to you. I'll be honest with you. As a single mom, I couldn't do trips. My son went on trips with his friends at the private school. I did not go on a trip for like 19 years. My first trip literally will be this summer. That not going somewhere for business and it's hot and I got like a couple hours to lay on the beach. Like I'm for real going to go on a for real vacation and just be Chris, because I had to make sacrifices. I have not had a new car. I shop at consignment shops. So all my handbags, although they're fabulous, I've never gone to a store and got a brand new Louis Vuitton bag. Never. I don't even know what that looks like. I mean, all my stuff is new to me. As Forrest said, new to me. So folks, just to let you know, we're going to stop at this section because we're going to get to the other segments when we come back. And again, you're going to be able to rewatch this one next Saturday because it's Santana's birthday and his business anniversary. So all I got to say is, none of us will be here. And you're going to be rewatching this. But that's okay, because what we want you to do is watch the first session and watch this one second, and then go back and watch the last budget show.
Absolutely.
And make sure you click those links and do your simple or your detailed budget, because these guys are going to take off and it's going to go real fast after this. They are going to knock this out because, folks, this is very serious to them. They want to get everybody through this process. But the last thing that I'm going to say to you, and I'm going to let them give you all last words. You heard it from the finance squad. Don't buy nothing right now. If your car is working, stay in the car. Go get you a full set of tires from Sam's Club, or go to Pookie's tire place on the corner and get a halfway used set. I'm just saying, Pookie's place on the corner.
You might not want to buy tires from Pookie.
If all they got is Pookie money, going to get. But if not, go to a Sam's Club. That's a good deal. BJ's, Costco's.
Right.
Get you some tires.
Discount tires.
Go get a reliable mechanic, give you a good tune-up so that you can drive that car until these interest rates go down. Or like Forrest said, jump on that public transportation, ride share. Uber is high right now. I'm going to keep it real. Uber is high. Mm-hmm. And folks, a house. Let me tell you something. A house is the people that's in it. Okay? I want to be clear. A house is the people that's in it. Good. All my friends got 4,000 square feet and higher homes. I do not. And guess what? I raised my son in this house and I'm happy. I'm content. It's got everything I want. I've renovated it from the rooter to the tutor. So understand this. Do I want bigger? That's a want. Would I love to live in a gated community? 100%. But the interest rate is high because my posse done told me. So Christina's going to wait till next year so I can get my gated community at an affordable price. Okay? So for Christine, that's it for me. Now the finance squad, they're going to rip y'all up. I was just giving y'all go to Pookie and get some tires, and Forrest said don't go to Pookie. Okay? Santana, don't be talking about my pocketbook and your clothes. Don't be talking about my pocketbook. All right, go ahead, Santana. Since it's your birthday, we want to go to you.
Well, I want to say this as we end this particular podcast. It is easy to make bad financial decisions, and it's hard to get out of them. So think before you make the decision, because they make it easy for you to get in and hard for you to get out.
Thank you for that. Mordecai, sorry.
It's all for me, it's just about knowing what it is you really need and what you really want, and be accountable for the things you need. Don't put your wants over your needs. And it's okay to wait. Good things come to people, to those who wait and plan, and you enjoy it better because you did earn it because you saved for it And most times I have found that when I saved for what I wanted, when I got the money, I didn't want it no more. I'm like, I ain't paying that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that no more. I value the peace that, you know, this discipline has given me to be able to lie down at night and know that when it comes to anything with my children, we have, you know, a greater amount of resources to be able to fill those needs. So know what your needs are, and know what your wants, and don't put your wants over your needs.
I love that. Forrest?
My great grandmother used to say to me, "To thine own self be true."
I love that.
Don't be afraid to have a courageous conversation with yourself. I understand the desire to want the best of everything. The best is what you can do and all that you can do. It's not the best that's on the market, because you might not be there, and trying to put yourself in places where you shouldn't be, at least for me personally, tended to always get me in trouble.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen to you. You're going to find yourself in trouble. So to thine own self be true.
And on that note, folks, if you want to renovate, Home Depot and Lowe's is open. Go get it. Roll out and get that paint. You better call your peeps. Get somebody helping you put a gate up.
That's
put some
right.
shingles on that roof. You better get busy. Install a new sink. A sink is only $1.99 at Lowe's and Home Depot. Y'all better get that new kitchen sink and whatever bathroom sink. Get your new toilet. You better call your brother JoJo. Stop playing.
And you know now, Chris, all you got to do is YouTube. YouTube will show you how to do
it. YouTube University.
I'm ready to YouTube to put in a sink in my bathroom because I want to put in my new sink. And I'm like, well, this can't be that hard. I'm looking at the pipes. I could probably figure this out. I'm going to try it first myself. And then if not, I'm going to go next door and get Mr. Will. He a plumber. Get Mr. Will to help me. Mr. Will, like I've been helping this woman for 20 years. And he has. So I'm going to go to Mr. Will. So folks, listen, we're going to see you guys next week. And the bottom line for us is that you need to be focused on what it is that you want. Set your goals. And that's one of the things when I listened to these guys, I did set my goals. And one of my goals is that I wanted to go on a trip. So I may not be able to get a house this year because of the interest rates. I'm not going to be able to get the new car I wanted this year because of the interest rates, but I can't afford to take that trip. And so I'm taking the trip and not look later and try to get this house in this gated community. And I'm going to pay 5 times what it's worth on interest. We're not doing that. So guys, listen. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and don't forget to go back to YouTube, watch the rest of these lessons, and we're going to upload this PowerPoint deck so you guys can walk through it. Again, thank you so much for joining us on the 5 F's to Love Network. And I know I didn't get a chance to play it, but tomorrow is Sunday Dinner Conversation with Dr. Shelley. This conversation got so deep, we only took 1 commercial break. Why? Because we want to make sure you got your money right. All right, so we'll see you guys next Saturday. Rewind this tape, and we'll be back live the Saturday after that. All right, guys. See you next week after next week.
Everybody. All right.
All right.
Come on.